The Badlands, running the Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of OnlyLands. How's the crew doing tonight?
Doing all right.
Doing very good.
What's with that smirk, Zach? I don't trust it.
I don't know. I mean, like, honestly, I was in my head, I'm thinking, I'm fine. Everything's fine. But of course, I mean, it's a little somber and nothing's really fine. And literally, like, just as the show was starting, I see this statement from Erica Kirk and like my heart's just like breaking and I want to watch it, but obviously I can't do that because we just started the show. It's probably not the right time.
Probably not the right time.
Yeah. It's been rough. I went to the Yucca Valley screening of Codex 9/11 last night, and I never thought I'd be so happy to watch a 9/11, movie. It like actually lifted my spirits amazingly, but it was mostly because I was there with some fellow Badlanders, and we were just able to be somber together and watch, Brad's great documentary and celebrate Brad. And Brad's one of those guys. He's put himself out there. We all put ourselves out there. And so I think the Charlie Kirk thing kind of hits home. I mean, none of us are to the level of Charlie Kirk. But it's just, I think you can put yourself in his shoes, his family's shoes. It was just a really horrible thing.
Yeah. Did you have a good turnout at the Yucca
Valley? There was about maybe 15 to 20 people. So it was decent for where it is. It's really out there. It's like between Palm Springs and Joshua Tree National Park. So it's a long way. So I went to work and then I just grabbed a normie conservative buddy of mine and we drove out there, had a little dinner at this place called Pappy and Harriet's, which is a really cool, like there's this little Western town called Pioneer Town where they built it basically to film a bunch of Gene Autry movies back in the 40s and 50s. And now it's actually a functional little Western town. They have like little shops and a petting zoo and all this stuff. And Pappy and Harriet's is this kind of famous music venue / barbecue restaurant. And they've had a bunch of artists, like a lot of artists that play at Coachella will between the Coachella weeks, because it's 2 weekends in a row, they'll play like there, like Paul McCartney played there and, just they'll drop in and play. So it's kind of a cool place. So we had dinner there and then went down to the theater. We saw Chris Musgrave and a bunch of other Badlanders, and there were even a couple people that were just locals that live there that wanted to see the movie. They saw the poster and came down and checked it out. So I will report, and I won't filibuster here, but I'll just say that my normie conservative friend, I was really, really anxious to see how he would take it, because he's my friend that he'll listen to me, he'll humor me, but then it'll always end up being like, you crazy conspiracy theorist, right? So he went in very skeptical and he came out absolutely a believer. I mean, we talked the whole 2-hour drive home last night, and he was super impressed. He's like, you can't argue with any of it. It's like kind of like absolute proof. So yeah, it was pretty cool experience.
That's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the location, I mean, it was like every conservative in the desert.
It's a weird scene out there though, Zach. It's where like those desert bands all started, like Queens of the Stone Age and Caius and Eagles of Death Metal and all that. So it's like a bunch of hippies out there, basically. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't sure if they're like conservative hippies or like liberal hippies. I'm not sure what the vibe is really out there. But Chris took the initiative to get the theater and put it all together. So big thanks to Chris, who's been dealing with the loss of his mother too at the same time. So it's a lot on his plate to make that happen. So I just, had to be there to support and do that.
So Cam.
What's up, y'all? How you doing?
Hey, Cam. Yeah, Jay, I don't think, 9/11 truth is not something that I think of as a conservative position.
No, it never was. Remember, there was Fahrenheit 9/11, Michael Moore did, it was like a big left-wing conspiracy originally. And then some of them, like me, it was like a big Bush guy at the time. I didn't want to hear it. I was like, no, don't tell me that my guy was behind all this. And I remember though, in the back of my head, there were things that didn't add up, and it took me a long time to go there. But yeah, it was just kind of funny. It reminded me last night of that scene. And I don't know if you guys remember The Naked Gun. There was that scene where it was like a montage where Leslie Nielsen and Priscilla Presley are like There you go. The original.
This is the new one.
The original one. And they're on this like montage with this big date that they're on, and they're doing all this stuff, and they come walking out of the movie theater, and they're just like laughing their ass off, and then it pans back, and it says Platoon on the marquee. You know, like that's how I felt last night. I was like coming out like with my spirits uplifted after having seen a thing about it, the 9/11 tragedy. It was kind of ironic.
So it is interesting because so many of the things that are considered like associated with the right now were previously associated with the left. I mean, this idea, I was never a fan of George W. Bush. There's this book that I would recommend you, like all of you read. It's called Fortunate Son by this guy named J.H. Hatfield. And it was researched so well and so damning to George W. Bush during his time in office that he sought to have it banned. And so it was only available in very limited supply. And I've got an original copy, and I think it's come back into print since he left the White House. But it's an incredible story, like how he came to prominence, how he rose, and the sort of just silver spoon and platter that everything was handed to him on, and his complete, utter lack of preparedness to be president of the United States. And then, all of everything that happened is really interesting. I would recommend reading it. But, like if you think about it now, I mean, the idea that there was anything wrong with 9/11 because it's associated with the right, people on the left are completely now bought into the official narrative. And the same way with the intelligence community. Used to be the left didn't trust in intelligence. Oh my God, that was the deep state. Peter Dale Scott, coined the phrase the deep state originally. And, he was a left-wing reporter. And so now all of that has shifted, and none of it truly, I believe, is partisan, but because, obviously, who doesn't want to fix America except for the leftists nowadays? Who doesn't want to stop the government from taking our rights? Well, I guess, except for the leftists. But really, ultimately, it's not partisan issues, but that's just how it's been framed now.
Cam, you had a showing yesterday in Georgia too. How'd that go?
Yeah, it was awesome. Real quick before I jump into that, I grew up on the other side of the aisle, so to speak, when it came to 9/11 and everything. I remember I was 11 years old when it happened. It was a Tuesday, obviously. They brought us in from recess. I had recess at that time, and my parents were like, "Don't believe." My mom took me out of school literally after the second tower got hit, and the first thing she told me, she said, "Don't believe everything that you saw on TV." And then from that point on, I just questioned all of 9/11. Like that was a thing, like Zach said, on the left. But for me, when Trump came around, not the first time, but when 2020 was coming around in COVID, that's when like the people like me that went from being liberal to just disaffected from anything, from politics, came to Trump's side. So I wanted to add that part. But yeah, the showing yesterday was awesome. It was like I think it was probably like 20. Jackie has a manifest somewhere. It was like 20, 25 people. There were a lot of. What's up?
You said she has a manifesto somewhere?
No, manifest.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, there was a lot of people that weren't like Badlanders. Like there was KV was there, another gentleman, Dan, that's part of our Badlanders group in Georgia. John is part of the group, and I think maybe like one or two other people. But everybody else that was there was like my dad came. That was my thing. Awesome. Like my dad was there. It was.
What do you think?
He loved it. Jackie said that after the movie that he wanted to have a dialogue with her about the Joe Biden part, because he was like, well, I don't know about the whole Joe Biden thing, whatever. And I'm just like, don't bark up that tree.
Is he a Democrat?
I guess, yeah, they are.
Wow. Wait, does he like Joe Biden?
I honestly, I don't know.
It's like hard to imagine.
Does he know about corn pop?
Yeah, probably not. No, absolutely. I guarantee he doesn't know about corn pop. It's not something
Joe
like
Biden threatened him with a chain.
Yeah, so these conversations aren't fun, because what happens is I go with that, and then I get a bunch of like deflecting and just steering the conversation in a different direction, and I'm just like, this is a pointless conversation to have, because you're not listening to my premise from the beginning. So
people always go back to corn. People always default to corn pop, but the thing that was more alarming to me was Joe Biden referring to black children as roaches. Yeah. I know about roaches. I know about black kids climbing on my lap.
Touching his leg hair.
There's like three or four things from like around the crime bill time period, 94 crime bill, that like I saw those clips, and that was it for me. I was just like,
racial jungle.
Going back from that. Yeah, that was the one. That was the one that got me. was racial jungle, because I've heard those like jokes before growing up, like that was the sly way of saying something offensive without really saying it, because like, no, we're saying jungle, like you're tough, you know, whatever. And I'm like, no man, I know what you mean by that.
Is that what they they try to sell you?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a compliment.
When you get caught, when you get called out saying they're jungle animals, it's like, no, what I mean is like you're rabid, you're fierce competitors. Like, bullshit, get the fuck out of here. But let's get back to the positive. The showing was awesome. If you guys watched the post stream, Jackie got on there with Zach, Brad, and Abby. And I'm not going to go through all of it, but Jackie went through so much to get that into the theaters. It was crazy, but like it was well worth it. It was awesome, man. It was.
Shout out to Jackie. Yeah. Jackie's the best.
And Ash said it at some point, but that's the movie theater that Ash and I both went to growing up. Like that's where we saw all of our first films. Like. All that stuff.
I remember Crocodile Dundee in that theater.
I saw Toy Story in 96 when I was 6 years old. I saw it in there. Like to see Brad's film in that theater, like with all recliner chairs, like the concessions were open. There's beer there. They sell beer and wine there too.
Yeah, it looks really different than when I saw Crocodile Dundee in the theaters.
So much beer's what movie theaters are missing, man.
They have beer and alcohol at all our movie theaters here.
Yeah, us too.
Haven't been to a movie in a while, so
stuff. Yeah, but this theater in Yucca Valley, by the way, was like the scariest freaking thing. Like Rosalinda has like seen it when they go camping. Like she's driven past it and she goes, I always like comment what like a scary looking theater is. Look like you like get axe murdered there, but like inside it had like recliners that went completely horizontal. Like you could go completely flat. So I was exhausted. I mean, I worked
for the prostitutes.
Yeah, I guess so. That's probably it. It's like there's probably some ulterior motive, but they were super luxurious. It was actually really nice inside. So I thought it was a little. I'm gonna start snoring. I told everybody if I start snoring, like just elbow me. But like Brad's movie is so engaging, like you can't possibly sleep through it. So then it was like, okay, am I gonna make it home? Or am I going to fall asleep at the wheel? Because it was late for me. I go to bed so damn early. It was like a very late night for me. And I had to get up at 5 to go to work this morning. So
we're very glad that you made it home and didn't.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, my friend was about to pass out. And I'm like, no. We're going to discuss the movie because you're going to like, talk me all the way home. Because
got to roll the windows down, play the music up, throw some water on your face.
Exactly. But
I want back to what Zach, what you were talking about with George W. Bush. He to me is the perfect example of the puppet president.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Right.
100%.
Just going to say that
he didn't do anything. He didn't exercise authorities. He was just there. And after Deadwood, when we screened Codex, Matt and I went through all the audio tapes, the NORAD audio tapes that were released again. And it very clearly the vice president gives the order allowing them to shoot on 9/11. They were waiting forever. These guys were like, please send up F-15s, please get planes in the air. Like, oh, I don't know, is this real world, right? But it's the vice president who gives the order. Was there ever a reason given for that? Why was Dick Cheney command on 9/11?
Because Dick Cheney was the shadow president. He was always in control. George W. Bush was essentially a quivering ball of jelly on 9/11.
Well, remember they had him up in an airplane. Like he was like flying to different Air Force bases, like hiding out. And Dick Cheney was like on the scene, I guess. And so
Air Force One is effectively a White House. So that doesn't hold water, right? He can be in the air and run the country. That's
exactly. So it is silly, but I'm just saying his actions that day were very cowardly.
Zach, is that what did they give that reason? Is that the official reason that Bush couldn't do it? He was a mess and he couldn't do it. So did we ever get an answer as to why Dick Cheney was giving orders on 9/11? Because somebody needs to answer that question.
No, I mean, no satisfactory answer. I mean, ostensibly, when Dick Cheney was asked about it, he basically said that the president needed to be protected. And so I basically put myself forward as a sacrificial lamb, and I took on the burden of making those decisions. But as soon as they came into the White House, Dick Cheney was always in power. He was managing George W. Bush and, essentially just, running things behind the scenes while George W. Bush was doing photo ops. And I mean, you've seen his public speaking appearances. I mean, he's a buffoon in real life. And I mean, I think that he was a longtime party boy. and he kind of just skated through life, had a lot handed to him, and he really was fairly inexperienced in terms of his political career. Of course, he had been governor of Texas, but I mean, even when he was governor of Texas, I mean, he was still managed by other people around him. And Dick Cheney was, he was the guy that was vice president because he had power. He had already managed people from inside the White House previously. And he had a much stronger will and far more connections throughout the annals of power. And so, yeah, George W. Bush was a puppet.
Yeah, and Illinois Danny says he's a Joe Biden. What I think is very true is that they were all Joe Bidens. They were all controlled puppets until Trump. Trump was not. She was never supposed to lose, and that's why he's such a threat. Is because he was not a Joe Biden.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was just going to say that there's obviously varying degrees to each and every one of them. I think that, ego is going to come into play, so to speak, and people will be allowed to think that they're in control and perhaps given directives in different ways so that, this is what you should do, Mr. President, or it can be, this is what we need you to do, or they just put a bundle of papers in front of the Mr. President. America is going to crash if you don't sign this stuff right now. Thank you very much. And then they leave. But certainly each and every one of them, I agree with you, was a puppet. And President Trump, when he came in his first term and they surrounded him with all those people that tried to manage him, he had to essentially, find his way through that. And he was able to successfully overcome a lot of it. But there was still a lot of control and opposition that was going on in the background. And they knew that when he came back for a second time, that all bets were going to be off and that there was going to be one man who was in control. And that was going to be the chief executive. And that obviously is President Trump. And I'm Cam. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Only thing I was going to add is that I think the other outlier presidents, so like Reagan and Kennedy, the difference between them and Trump for me is like when Trump came in, I felt like Trump was the name. When Kennedy came in and when Reagan came in, Reagan had Bush tied to him and Kennedy had Johnson thrust upon him. They were handled from day one. Whereas Trump, whatever people want to say about Pence, John, I was going to tell you this, by the way. I decided to die on that hill with you a long time ago. I remember exactly where I was when I was just like, I think it was before.
You remember where you were when you?
Yeah, I was literally real quick, guys. I was on a walk at Jackie's dad's house in Orlando, and I was walking to a gas station at like probably midnight. I was watching a stream, and John was talking about people like saying all this stuff about Pence, and he's like, I just haven't seen anything yet, like any proof yet that Pence is a bad guy, like he whatever. And I was just like, you know what? I agree with John. Like, if anyone ever asked me, this is before I met you guys, I was like, if anyone ever asked me, like, I'm gonna let them know that I'm with John on that. But the point I was trying to get at is like Pence, I don't think was.
And I made a blood oath about it.
Yeah, I did. And John didn't even know
9/11.
But Pence, I don't think was anywhere close to an H.W. Bush or a Lyndon Johnson when it comes to power. So like Trump came in with the right protection to keep him at least safe.
It's funny. I will say this real quick. I don't you think Pence though, at least to the cabal, the deep state, whatever it is, don't you think that they think he was going to be that sort of control that like Bush had over Reagan and
I don't.
You don't think that they thought they had their guy in there?
I think they had a guy. I don't think that they had anybody. I don't think they thought they had anyone as powerful as someone that could wrangle Reagan or Kennedy.
No, I don't think they thought it was, but I think they thought that he was pretty much a uniparty guy that what might keep Trump in line. I don't think they had any idea what the force they were dealing with. Well, remember too, it was supposed to be Jeb. Jeb was supposed to be the guy that was going to be the sacrificial lamb to Hillary. And, Trump just threw a monkey wrench into all their plans. But I do think that the deep state thought, well, at least we got Pence to kind of rein him in.
Well, that's the story we're told about all the people who say Pence is a bad guy. So I don't know. Even last night in one of our chats, Ghost brought up the old Pence Ryan emails. Like, it's crazy how many people believe the bullshit about Mike Pence, and those have been debunked for a decade.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not even saying Pence is a bad guy. I'm saying he could be like a double agent. He could have been like the guy that was like, hey, you guys, yeah, I'll take care of Trump. No problem. Just get me in there. And then he stood down. I mean, he could have used the 25th Amendment, all that stuff that they said he was in position to do. He didn't do. So the track record will speak that, like, to Cam's point, he wasn't that guy. He wasn't the Dick Cheney. He wasn't controlling things from behind the scenes. But I'm just saying maybe they thought he would be that guy for them, and he wasn't. So
could be. I just have a hard time believing
you, John.
Trump would. How dare you agree with me? How dare you?
Thing.
I just have a hard time believing Trump would let somebody, like, we've had this debate so many times in the chat.
Well, that's why I said I think he's like a double agent. I think he just had the trust of the deep state, but he didn't do what they wanted him to do.
I think he was so boring that no one even like gave him a second thought. And then I'm going with this guy because he's literally
he was
just
like Dan Quayle.
Just a wall.
Just
a wall.
By the way, Ash, to answer your question from like 20 minutes ago on Cheney, the official story is, because I did some research on this back in the day, because there was COG briefly initiated on that day. The official story goes something like, okay, Bush is in Florida, and this White House aide comes into the office and is like, hey, there's a plane 80 miles out. We need to know if we can shoot this thing down or not. And because the Pentagon had just been, a plane ran into it, they couldn't get a hold of the Secretary of Defense, who would typically be next in the chain of command to give that kind of order. So he allegedly gave the order, but called Bush to like tell him he was going to give the order, and Bush okayed it. But there's no record of the phone call ever taking place.
So Bush
so that's
so they just went over
so that means because Cheney gave the order that they were allowed to shoot planes that were not responsive, that they couldn't redirect. He gave that order after Shanksville. All 4 planes were on the ground when that order was made. So did Bush have to finish reading the books to the kids? Is that why he couldn't respond to nationals?
Well, yeah.
And who gives a shit if he's in Florida? He can run the country from anywhere.
Could you imagine where education would be in this country if Bush didn't finish that book?
Mm-hmm. Technically, learn how to read.
There was one more plane that was reported to have been hijacked. So theoretically, it could have been the confusion of whether or not that plane was still in the air and was potentially going to hit a hard target. But either way, I think that I don't believe the call happened.
Again?
There's another plane. There's like another plane that was like supposedly hijacked that they just kind of hand wave and don't ever talk about.
There was one near the White House, and then it reports back, and there's like a couple of air traffic controllers that are like, I think it was 1985 or I don't remember exactly, but it's near the White House, and it's Boston that calls it in, and the White House people are like, that's not even in their airspace. Why are they calling this in? And throughout the rest of the day, that plane's tail number keeps getting brought up in context, like to confuse. I really do believe it's to confuse. It was that those audio tapes are freaking up.
That's messed up. They pass you over as soon as you leave your airspace. Like that's literally one of the first things I learned was like you have to switch your radio over to like when we go to Cartersville, to switch a Cartersville radio as soon as we get like 10 miles out, or else I'm not going to be able to know the weather and all that stuff. That makes no sense. And obviously they have it on radar, but like they shouldn't be calling that in. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, Cam, I mean, if you were going to commit terrorism, how would you have done it with an airplane?
Let me think about it. Zach, go ahead.
I'm thinking he looks like a shoe bomber to me.
Whatever this conversation is.
Slave people. Set them on fire, man.
I was just going to say, I mean, part of that could be explained away because there were the war games happening at that time, so like everything was so fucky because nobody knew exactly what was real and what wasn't real. And nobody knew when allegedly nobody knew when they were supposed to stop pretending and then start being real. And the whole thing is crazy.
Real world.
Yeah, it's like the real world. Exactly. It's like the real world. It's so funny that you asked Cam that, John, because last night on the Codex 9/11 stream after the movie was done, we were having conversations about, some of the strange things about 9/11 and Muhammad Atta's magic suitcase. And I was like, every time I commit an international act of terrorism, I'm going to write the screenplay, put it in the file along with everybody's name and information, because we've got to know who to distribute the virgins to. And of course, I also want to know if you guys are hanging out with me and we're going to the strip club, are you going to do cocaine? Is it necessary for us to get additional strippers, additional cocaine?
Well,
because,
yeah,
all
definitely. All the above, man.
yeah. I mean, nobody wants to get left in the cold, right?
No.
Yeah. And I said I was the Muhammad Atta of Badlands, actually. So
that tracks. That tracks.
It definitely does.
You know, a lot of people obviously talking about this topic. The thing that's kind of overshadowed 9/11, which I feel like is a difficult thing to do. And so I think maybe we could talk a little bit about this. I don't think I've heard Cam or Jatra discuss any of the Kirk stuff this week. Wouldn't mind getting your thoughts on it.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, initially I was horrified, saddened, all of the above, and then when I had time to process it a little bit, I realized what they're trying to do is get us to be fearful to speak the truth and make that, it's the thing when the left cannot win on the merits of the argument, on having good ideas, they resort to violence, and I thought of it as an immediate knee-jerk reaction on our part would be to, fight fire with fire. And I'm glad to see that cooler heads, at least to the moment, have prevailed. And I thought about like when I was younger and I'd get angry about something, to me, music was like a good outlet, so tomorrow I know Brad and I are going to do a show based on that, just a resilience and how it makes you stronger. So I'm hoping that, if there is a positive that comes out of this, is we're all just that much stronger and more determined not to let them silence us. And as far as I know, we were talking before the show about this cancel culture thing that's going on, on our side. And, it's my thoughts on that are, initially too, you see like the guy from MSNBC get fired and you're like, okay, I'm not going to feel bad about that. Certainly there's some satisfaction to it, but it's coming from a place of like, okay, they're getting a taste of their own medicine. And to me, like, to end cancel culture, which I abhor, and I'm absolutely an absolutist when it comes to cancel culture. I do not want to see anybody lose their job because they said something wrong. That's just not free speech. And I'm a free speech absolutist. But, I'm thinking, well, how do we get rid of this cancel culture? Do they need to have a taste of their own medicine, even if it's just a short dose of it? And maybe that's how it's going to be. I don't support what's going on there. I don't like the reporting of people and this sort of, Orwellian kind of society where we turn our, people in for saying the wrong thing. I don't like that at all. So if there is any silver lining that comes out of another bad situation, I hope that maybe them getting a taste of their own cancel culture, philosophy will make them change their thoughts on it, and we can end cancel culture for good.
Here's the thing, though.
War on terror.
Cancel culture is one thing. All right. What we're talking about is accountability culture. The things that people say on live television have often gotten them fired in the past. All right. So I don't have any problem with that. Pretty despicable comments. Freedom of speech, as Ash so succinctly pointed out today, is a right that is in the realm of the government. Okay. The government cannot restrict our speech, but your employer can restrict your speech because it reflects negatively upon them. Also, when it comes to all of these people making public posts on their Facebook with their full name, their employer, and their home address and all of their entire lives, they are forever and indelibly connecting a really disgusting position and opinion of a lack of respect for human life to themselves and their identity, which means, in my mind, that they were comfortable enough to say that and put it out there for the entire world to see, because they thought that there would be no accountability for it. Now, I'm not going to call and have somebody's job taken away from them because of what they said online. That, to me, is cancel culture. But if these employers see what these people have said online and they say, you know what, we have no desire to have your clearly abhorrent opinion connected to our business, then that's fine.
I'm okay with that too. By the way, to clarify, I don't not believe in accountability. I think you can say whatever you want, but there's consequences to it.
Yes.
If I go, into like South Central LA and make a bunch of racial comments, I'm probably going to get my ass kicked, you know? And it's like, did I have a right to say it? Sure. But was it smart? No. And whatever consequences come from that, fine. But so, yeah, so I want to clarify that that's not what I didn't mean. Like, these people shouldn't be held accountable. I just don't like the idea of like people out there, like literally trying to turn people in. It just feels a little like, brown shirty to me. And I don't want to become what I don't like. I didn't like that when that was happening during COVID. I didn't like when people were calling the police because there was 5 people at my house, having a backyard cocktail party, and I don't want to see it go there. So it's hard for me to support that part of it. But as far as them getting what I think they probably do deserve, if I was an employee, I wouldn't want to have somebody, that represents my company putting out really abhorrent stuff like that. So, so I'm with you on that, Zach.
Zach, what do you think of the Charlie Murders website, which is an entire database dedicated where people can go in and like, these are all the bad things people said online. Here's how you get a hold of their employer. And everybody can make their phone calls to get them. It's almost like call your congressman, except now it's like, let's call and get the leftists fired.
Well, I mean, when has ever calling your congressman done anything? I think that the website, the archiving of those posts, I think it's fair game because people put it on the internet, and that's what happens when you put things out there on the internet. But again, I think that specifically trying to get people's jobs taken away from them is just a little bit too far.
Okay.
But I do have a nuanced opinion here. So let me just finish this one part. Okay. We've been saying for a very long time, well, geez, how do we clear all of these leftists out of positions of power, out of the schools where they're indoctrinating our children? How do we get them out of the judiciary? How do we get them out of high-level positions as CEOs? How do we get them off of school boards? I think they're actually doing it for us. And who knows, maybe it's going to turn out to be an opportunity. God works in mysterious ways.
A taste of their own medicine is I don't think, a bad thing.
I have 2 questions for you. And I'm not like, I'm just asking you questions. I've addressed this on my show. I can talk about it more here in a little bit, but do you think this is what Charlie would have wanted?
Probably not. No, but I also don't think that he wanted to get shot in the neck, to be frank.
Okay. But that's I'm specifically about this issue when he's the guy who had like people coming to his events yelling death to Charlie, death to Charlie. Never once turned any of those people in to get them fired. And I don't think he would have wanted it.
No, I don't think he would have wanted it either, but I would like to hear what Ash thinks.
Well, a couple of things, and I'm kind of on both sides of this issue. I don't think that the government should ever be in a position of inflicting these kinds of cancel culture type of consequences, and they did. They threatened the hell out of businesses during COVID, right? And we don't want to go there. But if you are a business owner, I think, if you find out that somebody is that despicable and holds positions that are really antithetical to the values of your company, I think 100% you're in your rights to fire that person. But I also think you should know. Right, because a lot of the one thing that happens in these kinds of situations is that people show who they are and they reveal who their demons are, and a lot of people are out there trying to walk back their reactions and things. But the internet is forever, and they've shown who they are. Now take it to there's a woman here in Jefferson County Schools, a DEI and inclusion specialist for Jeffco Schools. And she was, making comments at this. So think about that, like people that are celebrating the death of father whose only crime was discourse, insisting that we be able to talk and say unpopular things and talk about things. That's his crime. He's dead, and there's people in positions of trust that are celebrating it.
Yes,
whether that's societal or whatever. I mean, I don't like the Sedition Hunters database thing. My initial reaction to that is I don't want the digital surveillance state world, right? So why are we enabling it? Why are we doing that? But I also think for business owners that information is incredibly valuable, and I think that they have a right to know it. There's the reaction of positivity to Charlie Kirk's death is fucking disturbing for our society.
Mhm.
And if you're, you know, who are you going to place your kids with? Where are you going to spend your dollars? Who are you going to, that's our power. And, you know, if the people are creating the database, the people are doing the searching. So it comes down to, you know, is this who we want to be? Is this the society that we want to be? And I don't think that this is the society that we want to be, but I'm also, you know, I don't want to indulge the darkness, but I'm enjoying the fucking boomerang because, you know, it's happened to all of us, you know?
Yeah, I am too. And the other part of this is, you know, on what you just said there about, you know, where we spend our money, how we, you know, spend our time, who do we trust in the care of our children? You know, just imagine being an employee at a business where one of these people have posted saying that they approve of the idea of killing your political rivals. You know that you are a political rival to this person. Are you going to feel comfortable going to work? I certainly think that in those positions, it's totally appropriate for somebody to go in and be like, hey, HR, I don't feel safe here because they're saying that it's okay to kill somebody like me. And, you know, there you go. That's effing around and finding out. Those people these are adults. Okay. Like, I'm not talking about minor children that are saying this. I'm talking about people who are of age, who at this point in their life should have developed some sense of humanity and empathy towards humanity. And they appear to have none of it unless they are exactly like them. The other aspect of it is, like, for that Charlie's Murderers website, I mean, a person like us could go there and make sure that somebody we're planning on doing business with, or, you know, patronizing, that they don't have a listing on there, that they haven't said something like this. If it turns out they do, I would stay away from that person like the plague. I wouldn't harass them publicly, but I would just not have anything to do with them.
Who's on your surgical team? Who's mixing your meds at your pharmacy?
Yes,
exactly. And there's healthcare workers, doctors out there praising this. That's a just despicable situation. I mean, doctors are supposed to be pro-life. But the other thing, to Zach's point, you know, these people have been created because their speech has always been protected, no matter how abhorrent it has been. There have been no consequences in real life for them to say whatever the hell they want. And they've been out there canceling everybody they disagree with. And that's always been supportive. So in that sense, it is really nice to see the boomerang, like Ash said. And it's nice to see that, oh, guess what? There are consequences to your speech, and you're just finding that out. So that part I really do like. And that's what I was saying earlier, that maybe now they decide, oh, wait, maybe cancel culture and this kind of stuff isn't a good thing. It isn't the society we want. Maybe if they get a taste of their own medicine, but it's nice to see the boomerang for sure. Cam, where are you on
create
this,
a bunch of Lex Luthers?
Yeah,
a bunch of villains. It hit me hard. I was watching Ash's show, Colorado show, when it happened, and Darren was getting her attention, and like the way that he was trying to get her attention, I knew it was something serious, but I didn't know what it was. I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, something wild, like maybe like somebody dropped a bomb somewhere in the Middle East or something like that. And then when he said Charlie Kirk got shot, I was just like, Darren, of all people, one of the goofiest people I know, or like I've met. He wouldn't, like in his face, you can see it in his face, and like that hit me, because I was just like, when he said that, I was just like, man. And then as they started talking about it, I just started thinking about what was going to happen next, because I knew that no matter what happened to him, and I'm not trying to take away from his life, obviously, but no matter what happened to him, I knew everything was going to change from that moment. Like just the fact that he got shot was the initial. That was the dagger that was meant to be sent. I don't think that they needed him to be dead. I think that honestly, for them, I think it's probably worse that he did die, because now there's people that are more driven and really want to carry on what we're trying to fight for, to bring about this golden age. But the last thing I'll add to it is just like, I mean, I know how not everybody, most people feel when they see his wife or his kids or anything like that. But what just hit me was just the people that cared about him, not just his family, because I know they're going to miss him no matter what, but the people that like didn't know him, but it affects them. Because I've seen people cry over celebrities passing away, and you know, sometimes I'm a bit cynical, because I'm just like, this person didn't do anything, they just dribbled a basketball or they did whatever. But Charlie Kirk had an impact. He Jackie's younger brother, he's a firefighter in Orlando, and he's in his 20s. And before I met you guys at GART, Myrtle, he literally called us on the phone and was just like, yo, I just saw this guy, Charlie Kirk, blah, blah, talking at this campus. And he wanted to show us a video, and like, he cared again. He cared about like politics again. He cared about the world. Like, he just wanted to go off, be a firefighter, and save like individual lives. But then he realized that he had a bigger purpose. And that's what Charlie Kirk did for a lot of people. And I'm with you guys from, not with you guys, but I've been with you guys.
You're not with us?
No. Let me finish, because I don't want you guys to be part of this if you don't agree. But there's been times where we've disagreed with Charlie Kirk's stances on things, or his takes on things, or his approach on how he wants to go about stuff. And that's what I didn't want to group you guys in with. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. That discourse is natural and it's authentic, and that's what he was about, was having people disagree. And to tie it back into the whole cancel culture thing, I'm never going to speak for anyone's heart or mind, but I don't think that this is what he would have wanted.
Yeah, I think that's right. I wanted to go back, because you can vouch for me on this. When this happened, the news broke that he was shot. We were on the Colorado show covering the Van Jones clip, talking about Charlie Kirk, talking about Irina Kurutska. It was like, my initial reaction was like, what, like, you know, like, oh, that can't be real, kind of thing. And we saw first the video of the students running, and then it was like, thankfully it was right before the end of the show, the far away shot of him getting shot.
See the zoomed in one.
The zoomed in one I didn't see that when I was on the air, and I was not fucking okay. I was paralyzed pretty much all Wednesday.
So just one more final thought for me on this, I guess. One of the goals, I believe, of what we're fighting against, they have sought to dismantle American society. And with that is, of course, the dismantling of the nuclear family, the dismantling of community in general, kind of isolating, separating people, pushing them into this digital age. And traditionally, society and community has been the check and balance on morals, on ethics, on norms. And in the absence of that, people have turned into just disgusting, ghoulish creatures. Not all of them, but many of them. And I think that we've seen that on full display. The government, their realm is legal matters, okay, in enforcing laws and ensuring that society remains safe from a legal standpoint. But it's supposed to be the community that puts somebody in check when they behave in a way that is disgusting, okay? And these people, as Jatri had said, have been able to exist in this buffer zone where it doesn't matter what they do or say. They've been protected, even from a legal standpoint, but certainly from an ethical standpoint. They've been able to do and say whatever they want without any recourse. Nobody has, said anything to them. And if we just talk to them, that really has done very little to move the needle. So, from that respect, I think that what we're seeing is a societal adjustment. And I'm hoping that this isn't like the new normal, that, these people are just going to continue to behave badly and then they turn into Lex Luthor supervillains, but that people are going to have some moments of quiet reflection and recognize that what they've done and the way they've acted is, maybe I'm a little bit, leaning a little bit too hard into my optimism, John. I know, but I'm just saying, this is my hope.
You said that, where the mentally unstable people who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death are going to have a moment of self-reflection and change their ways.
But what
I'm going to see, what we're going to see here, hold on, Jay, what we're going to see here is mentally unstable people losing their jobs because Republicans or conservatives called in and got them fired. We're radicalizing the next shooter by doing.
Do you think they could be any more radicalized?
Oh yeah. Well, now they don't have a job and they're even more pissed off because they just got fired because of us. I don't think that's gonna end well. And I think this is feeding right into the hands of what the enemy wants. They want more conflict. I don't see how this de-escalates the situation. I don't think eye for an eye is a good political and discourse, strategy. I love seeing it though. I mean, you're absolutely right. I love the correction that we're feeling. I just think this is going to make things worse for a little while, if not a long while. I don't know. And I don't have a solution for how to do this better, because this is better than us going out there and just rounding these all up and shooting the people that don't fit in, whatever, Ash. Like you kind of said this the other day. Like, this is better than the physical confrontation that we could be responding with.
Yeah.
But we're not. So it's better than that, but I still think this is
and the energy has to go somewhere. That's the thing that I'm concerned about. And this is better than violence,
Yes.
right? And people are real pissed, and people are talking about violence, and people are talking about vengeance. And that's a dangerous place for us to be. But that ball of energy, that and emotion of the moment, it has to go somewhere. It has to be channeled and directed into places. And I see it's happening in, this 20,000 account database of, you can go search people and report them. It's peaceful. It's a peaceful response. It's being channeled into a revival for God. That's prevalent everywhere, and on all the socials and everything. It will be channeled into action at the local level. And I think that what Erica said about Turning Point, call Turning Point USA, get involved. Nikki in the chat, I think it was Nikki in the chat, it might have been somebody else if I got it wrong, said that there's like 6,000 people that called wanting to join or start new Turning Point. People want to do something. There's action that they want to do, and we can't let that action become violence. I think that the people that have a propensity to violence are not the people that are talking on social media. They're the people that are feeling everything that we're feeling, and they're not outletting it in ways. Some of those people might be planning. There's a real risk of violence from all sorts of different sides. And I think that it's not incumbent upon the repeated victims of the targets and the violence and ultimately the assassination. Make no mistake, that's exactly what they wanted for Trump. That's exactly what they wanted to happen to President Trump on July 13th of 2024, was for that mass trauma. And it was public for a reason. It's to traumatize, and we have to direct the energy ball into something productive and guard against violence. But I'm definitely, skeptical of the peaceful resolution of this moment.
Also, the last thing I'm going to say here, JJ, you can take it.
Sure. Yep.
The other thing that's giving me concern here is all the people that are pushing this method of like retribution for us. Like, this is our revenge. We're going to finally get all these people fired. It's all the worst people that I've like, that's a Fed. That's a Fed. That's Con Inc. I don't trust this person. Fed. It's all those people that are like pushing this rhetoric. And that's another reason that's giving me pause. Like, this is a psyop in some form. Like, you can recognize a psyop. You can choose to participate in it if you want to. I think most of the people here are not going to participate in calling people across the country that they've never met before to get them fired. But you got to at least recognize it for what it is, and decide for yourself how you're going to choose to respond to it.
Yeah.
If Jay has another point, I have a couple of videos I'd like to play. It's this girl that I found through Shipwreck. She's a historian, and she's so awesome. She's so awesome. I played it on my show earlier, but I think it's perfect for this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. The only point I was going to make, I was going to ask you guys a question, getting back to Zach's point earlier. Do you guys think that there are some sane-minded liberal people that hated Charlie Kirk, but now see this as going too far, and maybe they turn? I think of that scene in Tombstone when there was like those cowboys that after they went after the women, they went up to Wyatt Earp and threw their red sashes down and said, that's over the line for me. We're with you now. Like, do you think that there's always that maybe 6 to 8% that are too far gone, but do you think there are people that might see this in the abhorrent response, people celebrating this murder, not only the murder itself, but the celebration of it, that are just like, I don't want to be associated with this side anymore?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Loads of videos. Yeah, there's lots of that.
Loads of them.
Yeah, but that's not what we're really talking about. The people, we're talking about the 6 to 8% that were like celebrating and calling for more.
Right. Those people are too far gone. I don't think you'll ever reach them. But I guess in terms of, Charlie Kirk's legacy is perhaps that this is an event, as horrible as it is, that actually turns a lot of people away from what it's exposed just how liberalism really is a mental illness. And the only people that are going to be left that even consider themselves liberal are going to be the mentally ill. and they're going to be on an island. That's what I think.
Well, we
are
are reopening insane asylums, allegedly,
Yes.
all across America.
Yeah.
You got to put somebody in there.
Creating jobs. We're creating
That's
good
right.
healthcare jobs.
Okay. All right. So this girl is a PhD student, historian. She's that thing I do too on X. She just started an account. You can also find her on TikTok if you have TikTok, but I think she's brilliant.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've had too much education and too much training to ever see historical events the same way other people do. I'm a PhD student of American history maintaining a 4.0. I'm not watching the event. I'm watching the public. I'm watching the people's reaction to the event because that's going to determine what happens next. Here's the pattern I've observed. The initial response to the assassination of Charlie Kirk was celebration in the streets. There were people standing on street corners holding signs. There were individuals who were coming all over social media, cheering, clapping. They were dancing with disco party lights in the background. It was a national celebration that someone had been assassinated. Historically speaking, national celebrations of the assassination of political rivals does not go well. Historically speaking, it doesn't go well. And very shortly after that, within an hour, the dominating discussion became a condemnation of those celebrations, with many people feeling like something has flipped. Some fuse has been lit. Nobody knows what's coming. Nobody knows what's happened. There's a feeling that something is turned. As somebody who studied history, you're right, something has been lit. Nobody knows what it's attached to yet. Nobody knows where this is going to go, but something has been lit, as it always does when you have national celebrations of political assassinations. Over the next several days, even weeks, I will be watching for additional patterns to emerge because there are patterns that you can follow. There are things that pop up that let you know just what exactly is coming. And that's what I'm going to be watching for. The rollback and the illogical fallacy arguments have already begun from the celebrators and the individuals who supported their celebration. But even with that rollback, it's not enough to stop the momentum that has started on the side of those who find the celebration abhorrent. You should be paying attention because the next few days are going to be really interesting. What I'm watching right now is to see where we are in the arc of escalation. Interestingly, there's a pattern in history where there's a 20 to 30 year buildup of grievance before there ends up being like a major revolution or an assassination. In this country, we've had 20 to 30 years of grievance. We had children raised up under the grievances of their parents. And now they have what's called an inherited grievance, where their parents will tolerate the injustice that they see. The children will not tolerate it. And they are more likely to engage in much more physical and violent manners to be able to change the world because the grievance is their entire life. It becomes their identity. Those who have initially celebrated the assassination have not only clawed back their initial celebration, but they're also delegitimizing the event itself. This is because a countershift has occurred. A targeted group is no longer tolerating and is making a shift to retaliate. The group that was celebrating, the initiating group, is now trying to de-escalate the situation by drawing the conversation back to where the initial political grounds used to be. But the ground is shifted. It doesn't exist anymore. So what's happening now in this particular arc is we're looking at a legitimacy crisis. And I am specifically checking to see whether or not the initiating group, the ones who celebrated, are able to establish legitimacy again. If they can survive, if they can find their footing again, this event will be sanitized to be able to preserve them long term. And if they can't, this will accelerate.
All right. Any thoughts before I play the final one?
Yeah, I mean, it goes. So Brian and I are doing the fourth turning on Book Club.
Yeah.
And the, kind of 20 to 25 year turns within the, 80 to 100 year saeculum. The fourth turning was written in 1997 and predicting that we're going to go into the fourth turning around 2005. which would, if that theory is correct, mean that we were coming out of the crisis era into a high. And I think that, the 20 to 30 buildup is consistent with what she's saying is consistent with that theory as well.
Absolutely.
It definitely feels like the ground is moving under our feet, right? Things are shifting. The sentiment is shifting.
Yeah.
The vibe in the country is shifting. So
agreed. Okay, here we go.
Against their enemies, that the response ended up being, when a group has gone too far, that they've committed an action against their enemies, that the response ended up being greater than what they anticipated, they find the need to claw things back. But because the response was so great, the ground shifted, which means now they need to be able to find legitimacy in a new political playing field. Historically, there are ways for a group who has gone too far in offending another group to calm down the atmosphere, to bring down the temperature. Some of these methods are sanitizing the party or sanitizing the actor. They will put distance between them and the actor. They will delegitimize both the actor and the victim. In extreme cases, you will see the group align themselves with their victim in an attempt to be able to deflect attention away from themselves. And in order for anything to become substantial, in order for anything to stick, there's a lot of illogical fallacies that are being used, because if you can create confusion, in that confusion, things will calm down and they will be able to stand again. They'll be able to reshuffle. They'll be able to find legitimacy. In order to give examples of what some of these things look like, I'm going to use comments from my own comment section. I have many, many to choose from. I am simply choosing these because it is a perfect series of commentary that is able to show you what it looks like to distance, to sanitize, and to delegitimize. Sanitizing the party looks an awful lot like this. You have a group who has now aligned themselves with something that the victim is also aligned with. Therefore, it creates this invisible connection between the group and the victim, therefore creating the impression they could not have done this because that is their brethren. These are additional examples of aligning the group with something that the victim is passionately and well known a part of. This is what distancing looks like. So, coupled with the previous commentary, aligning the group with the victim, now we have aligned also the actor with the same party of the victim. Now that both the victim and the actor have been placed within the same group, the initial offending group can come and say, this is a self-contained event. The success of sanitizing and distancing will determine whether or not the group is able to continue on with their mission. And if they feel they are successful, they will begin ramping up rhetoric once more. If they do this too soon to the initial event, it has the potential to cause what's called a second spark.
So obviously that's happened in a number of different ways. I mean, what you described there, I've seen people walking it back. It's hilarious to me that anybody who considers themselves a Democrat is attempting to appeal to prayer or our faith in God. And there have been a number of different attempts online in the last 24 hours to connect the man they accuse of being the shooter to President Trump and America First. So I don't think any of those tactics are going to work, though. And I think that it's all being rejected pretty strongly by everybody. And, going back to the first part of the conversation, I think that is evidence of that right there. The sort of speed and strength with which people are responding and trying to get their anger and their frustration out. I feel like, it is definitely, John, you are correct, pushing us towards a sort of secondary event. And I have to say, I mean, I feel that this type of thing was inevitable based upon the language and the vitriol that these people have been spouting for a long time. I saw a study from Harvard the other day that said 70% of the respondents to this study, these were students at Harvard, 70% of students at Harvard believe that murder or physical violence is an appropriate response to ideological disagreement. And that's a lot of people, okay? And that's just one Ivy League university. That same mind programming, resume that's at work there at Harvard is also at play in all of these other universities around the country. So it's not an isolated incident. And I think that we're probably going to see other attempts at engaging this behavior. But if you just look back over the last 10 years, there has been a repeated pattern of these events of leftists attacking Trump supporters or attacking politicians. I mean, Steve Scalise was almost killed by a Bernie bro. Rand Paul was attacked on his front lawn by his leftist neighbor. He and his wife were surrounded by a mob of 100 or so Black Lives Matter protesters in Washington, D.C. President Trump had a couple of near misses. So, I mean, this is just more fuel for the fire, I feel.
Go ahead, John.
If you wanted to spark a civil war, and you figured the best way to do it was to assassinate somebody, you couldn't get to Trump, who would be the one person in this country that would bring us closest to that outcome? I think they got him. I think they want us divided. They want the conflict. They want the civil war.
I agree with you.
Looking, while I love seeing this revenge, it just feels it feels like vindicating in a lot of ways. Like I feel that, but we are feeding right into their hands. I'm legitimately worried about what comes next. And they're going to do it again. They're going to keep doing this. They want us to respond. And I don't know how we de-escalate from there. And it's weird that Trump hasn't said anything yet either. Really. He's just like our the way we heal will be with our success. I think that was his quote.
Yes.
He hasn't really provided much direction on what his thoughts are on how we do this. Like, is he okay with not that I'm looking to him for his direction. I'm just curious to see how he responds, because it'll kind of give us some insight onto where we're at in the psyop, right?
Well,
and where we're at in the feedback loop. And we haven't had that yet, which is almost weird.
This morning, he said publicly once again that they're going to be investigating George Soros and his network of leftist NGOs for a RICO case. And they've also now announced that they're going to be starting a House Select Committee on left-wing violence. I mean, there's plenty to go ahead and look at.
Yeah.
They've also mentioned the investigations beginning in the DOJ. We have no idea where that's at, because, I mean, nothing is going to be announced until, something is ready to be announced. So I think that I think that will be the success. I mean, like, at the same time that these things are sort of being hinted at, President Trump is also sending troops into all of these Democrat-run cities, and that could be a sort of pincer on their ability to respond and to organize in a way that they might otherwise. Also, with this kid that allegedly shot Charlie, I think that there is undoubtedly going to be other people that get drawn into it. His aunt came out today and said, I don't even believe he's ever shot a gun before.
I think that was his grandma, wasn't it?
Maybe it was his grandma, maybe it was aunt. I can't remember exactly. But that gun wasn't his, so he got the gun from someplace. And he was allegedly pretty quickly radicalized after going straight to college. And he was in Hassan Piker's Discord server. Hassan Piker has openly called for violence against right-wing figures on many different occasions. He was in a couple of Antifa Discord servers. And I think that, his network is probably going to lead to some of that legal retribution.
Zach, it's interesting. I want to go back to that Harvard survey that you mentioned. I mean, these kids have been indoctrinated to believe that words are violent, and anybody that doesn't have your worldview, those words are hurtful and violent, and it's perfectly okay to respond with actual kinetic violence to those kind of words. And that's the thing that I'm hoping, comes out of this, is that people wake up to realize that, like, words are just words, and we do have freedom of speech, and there's nothing violent about somebody disagreeing with you. And in responding with actual violence is completely it's a ridiculous position. There's no equation there that adds up. That spell has to be broken with the youth. And the thing about Charlie is he was reaching the youth. He was actually getting, holding dialogue about this very issue. So I'm hoping that, that irony doesn't be lost on some of these young people that might be leaning towards that, or have been indoctrinated into this thought that words are violent, because there is nothing violent about words. It's certainly somebody in the chat had mentioned, like, this isn't people losing their job over this isn't the same as losing your life. Charlie lost his life for just speaking out to people about what he believed to be true and having a dialogue with them. So, I just hope that we understand that, people start to learn that words are not violent, and they do not justify. Nothing somebody can say justifies a violent reaction like this.
I got a question for you guys. Do you think that a lot of these heinous reactions to Charlie Kirk's assassination, do you think those are coming from the youth, like the 20-year-olds and younger, or do you think that's coming for older people? Because now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like a lot of these responses are coming from people that are our age and above.
A lot of it I saw were youth.
I've seen the gamut. Okay,
the gamut too,
yeah, from like younger people who are college aged up to people who definitely ought to know better. I mean, like, hardcore lifelong Marxists who are in their 40s and even above.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen those like man on the street kind of interviews with college students where they're like celebrating it. They're all he got what he deserved kind of thing. He said things I don't agree with, so he deserved to die. That's basically what they're saying.
Well, and they're all completely uneducated as to what he was actually saying.
I mean, that's right.
Every talking point that they repeated was from the exact same set of fake news headlines about, who Charlie Kirk was. The real irony is that Charlie Kirk was probably like the most moderate individual associated with the modern right. Like, he was just like a generally decent person who just wanted to have conversations with anybody. And I don't think that his views were like super controversial when it came down to, the MAGA base as a whole. And there are plenty of people who didn't think that, he went hard enough on a lot of different issues. But I mean, they're not going to have achieved anything other than radicalizing people who otherwise wouldn't have been radicalized. And I completely agree with you, John. The people that we're fighting against want there to be a civil war. They want them to kill. They want us to kill our neighbors. Okay. And for that particular reason, I stress to every single person here that violence is not the answer to any of this. Self-defense may end up being the answer in certain limited circumstances. But we were talking about security the other night. I think undoubtedly people who are in positions of, public exposure are probably going to be a little bit more aware of what their surroundings are and ensure that something like this is not going to be possible. So, yeah.
What do you guys think are about the culpability of like the mainstream media, the leftist mainstream media, and like really prominent figures on the left demonizing and calling people like Charlie Kirk a Hitler and everything? And I know there's a lot out there saying that they have to have some culpability in this as well, because you can't be calling somebody a Nazi and a Hitler and not expect somebody to maybe act on that. What do you guys think about that?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it does kind of feel like the past, 10 years of us being told that our rhetoric is incitement to violence was them warning us that they were going to start killing us if we didn't shut up.
Yeah.
It does feel that way.
Do you think the Civil War is unavoidable?
No, not at all.
No.
I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion. I mean,
well, how do we live
with these people, or some sort of like overt physical confrontation?
We're definitely in a cold civil war.
Yeah, we're in a cold civil war.
Well, let me clarify the question. So what we've seen is these mentally unstable, and I stand by that, these mentally unstable people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Like, these are not people fit for, like, we cannot coexist with these people in a civilized society. I think everybody's on the same page about that. Mm-hmm. How do we coexist with them? Like, that's the question. How do we coexist with them without some sort of more overt conflict? Because as long as they're there, that's what they're going to want.
I don't think that we need to coexist with them. I think that it's perfectly acceptable to insulate yourself within your own community, within your own family. And you need to be selective about who you're spending your time with and where you're putting your energy. I personally, if I'm in a situation where I might inadvertently come across people like this, I'm going to be taking care of myself. Okay. And I'm going to be aware of my surroundings. That's really the only thing that I think you can do. I mean, they've been telling us exactly how they feel about us for the longest time, and we pretty much just tolerated it. You know, I mean, like assuming that, it'll sort itself out or whatever it is. And I think that that's coming. And, I mean, there's nothing else that we can do except protect ourselves and protect our families and not put ourselves into a situation where we're going to be forced to deal with an insane person like this. There's plenty of neighborhoods I would not willfully walk down the street if I didn't have to. And just in the same way, I'm not going to walk into a Democratic Socialists of America meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I have a neighbor that thinks we should all be dead because we have the wrong ideas, and you do sort of have to coexist, at least now, but you can move, right? And that's kind of voting with your feet and going to where your community is and building community in places. But we've just been through this cycle of increasing isolation, and the value of community and the ceremonies and traditions within community that existed 30 years ago don't exist anymore. Everything is online. People don't talk to the people that are in their physical communities, and I think that that's a big part of what has led to such dehumanization of your political opponents. So I don't think more isolation from within within community is the answer, but I do think that there's probably got to be some sort of reshuffling, a great migration, if you will, of people going to people staying and demanding that their community be respected, and then the people that can't respect it going somewhere else.
Yeah. Well said, and I agree. I was just curious what you guys thought.
We should play. We should probably do ads, I think, but we should play that video. I sent it to you earlier of that girl talking about the Mundt Act.
Can you pull that up and I'll do our
Yeah.
ad read? Let me see what we got here. Got a couple of them here. First up, we got Silent Faraday bags. Introducing Silent. Empower your right to disconnect with Silent Faraday cage bags. It's probably a good time to disconnect every now and then, especially when you feel yourself getting a little too emotional from the internet. Empower your right to disconnect. In a world where tech never sleeps, our mission is to keep you safe, private, and healthy. Their patented technology shields your devices from hacking, tracking, and EMF radiation, giving you autonomy over your digital life. Disconnecting sparks creativity, strengthens relationships, and brings you peace of mind. With Silent, you get effortless gear built with integrity. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/Faraday, promo code Badlands, so you can get a 10% discount. It's pretty awesome. We also got Van Man. These guys are great. Van Man's taking down big toothpaste with all natural oral care, just pure effective ingredients for a healthier smile. The Van never stops. Now try Van Man's new chewing gum as an all-natural alternative to traditional chewing gum with none of the synthetics and plastics found in big name gum. Instead, it has all the tools to remineralize your teeth and keep them healthy. Powered by hydroxyapatite, nature's secret weapon, loaded with minerals like eggshells and bone, two of the best forms of calcium to remineralize your teeth and build strong bone tissue. Van Man's tooth powder combined with pulling oils and peppermint aloe mouth rinse is truly the ultimate fluoride-free dental hygiene bundle that saves you 25% off the individual prices. Head on over to badlandsmedia.tv/vanman to hop in the van for the ultimate way to care for your teeth naturally. It's badlandsmedia.tv/vanman.
Heck yeah.
So that girl that I played earlier while we were live, she posted another video. My take on the calls for unity. I think it's relevant to, the idea of coexisting within society with these people.
Play that first, because my video is going to shift into more of Jay's topic about the media culpability.
Okay, let me pull it up.
Getting ready to. I saw that called Unity had started, so I thought I'd come out here and I'd talk about it. When a group is unable to distance themselves from something that they've done politically, i.e., assassinate a rival, inevitably they end up going to, we need unity. But the burden of unity never falls on the shoulders of the aggressor. it always falls on the shoulder of somebody that they've ended up victimizing. It allows the aggressor to then take the moral high ground, saying, well, this could all be over if you just forgive us. They're placing the burden of forgiveness, of unifying everyone on the shoulders of the people that they've injured. Nobody should be alarmed or angry or upset by the calls for unity. This is just textbook historical response timeline. And what it reveals is not only how out of control the situation has become for the aggressor, but how fractured the group has become. Within 10 minutes of each other, I saw a call for the assassin to finish the job because he left 2 children alive, and a demand for unity. Wow. The party is at polar opposites. The aggressor group is completely fractured. And the only way to stop the temperature from continuing to rise in the nation is for there to be forgiveness. As a historian who's studying patterns, given how volatile everything is right now, I do not like this. I do not like where things are going. There is always a second event. There is always a second spark. There is always 1 and 2. And we're in the middle of them. If the temperature does not go down by the time there is a second event, the second spark will light a fire.
So I almost think that, say that again.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. So I think it's actually more likely that that second event would be a very intentional false flag to essentially put the blame on the right and say, oh, you know, an right-wing extremist has responded to the assassination of Charlie Kirk by killing a family of Black trans women or something like that. And then, of course, they would use that. They would latch onto it and they would talk about that ad nauseum and then attempt to use it against us. You know, again, all the more reason to essentially just commit yourself to not responding with violence.
Yeah, to her point in that video, it's like basically, I think that's exactly right, spot on, Zach. Like the thing that would help them the most deflect from their abhorrent behavior would be for us to do something equally as bad, or something maybe not even as equally as bad, but just something that they can now like point to, like, oh, look at their reaction, look at how bad it was, and deflect from their own poor reactions. So yeah, we do need to like absolutely just hold the line and not overreact to any of this with violence or any other act.
Perhaps we can move on if they do better.
Yeah. do better, Zach.
Well, I mean, I keep coming back to this, like, how would Charlie himself react? Because in terms of like the perfect example of like how to live in Christ, right? That was Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie would forgive. Charlie would not be calling around and getting these people fired. All the points stand. I talked about this for like 20 minutes on my show. If you're an employer and your employee's acting like that and it doesn't align with the values of your company, fire their ass. Totally agree. I do the same exact thing. When people do things to undermine our company, we fire them too. That's how things work. Like, you got to do what you got to do as a business owner. But it, like, making calls and trying to disrupt people's life from across the country because you're emotional, upset, and stuff like that, that's not what Charlie would have wanted. No, and I didn't even know the guy. I'm assuming that's not what he would have wanted.
Yeah, I'm wearing a T-shirt right now. It's a quote from George Orwell that says, "Free speech is my right to say what you don't want to hear." And that goes both ways. They're saying things that we're disgusted with, we don't want to hear, but they have a right to do it. And that's where I draw the line. I am a free speech absolutist. And I totally agree, John. If the employer wants to fire them because they're not representing their company, well, that's absolutely like a proper response, I think. However, it's not up to me to be reporting them and to be, I can take offense to it, but I also don't want to be shut down their speech the way they shut my speech down during COVID. I don't want to be that person.
Earlier on my show, I saw a tweet from Clay Higgins, and Clay Higgins had said that he was going to go to the social media companies and get every one of these people banned for life. Absolutely.
We're back to where we started.
Right. That's the thing. And that's what I said. That's what I said. That's exactly what they did to us. That is not permissible. It is totally inappropriate. And I'm hoping that after Clay has a couple of days to cool down, he will understand that it's no better than what the government did under the last administration. We don't need legislation as a result of this. We don't need additional laws or additional, aspects of the security state to be brought in. I saw this tweet earlier, and this girl was basically asking for the repeal of the Smith-Mundt Act, but to call
that's what we're gonna play.
the video.
Okay. I'll shut up then. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, before it plays, just to tie that off, 100% wholly opposed to any sort of government intervention.
Yeah.
But if you know the effort to go after these people is the people. I mean, you know, as we see, it's they're building tools and they're writing scripts and they're, you know, developing interfaces and they're putting their energy into that effort. It's not the government. I don't think that, you know, I think what I got, John, from your show today is this is about like the condition of the heart. Like you want to guard your heart. Like the people need to guard their heart so they don't become the fucking monster that we've been fighting for so long. And I think that I think that's absolutely the right. Like what kind of society do we want to be? Do we want to be the 1984 or Brave New World as potentially a better example of, you know, tattletaling on every single aspect of your neighborhood and keeping the harmony as the goal? So we have to use the government to enforce that. I don't want to be that, and I will fight against that all the way. But
I'm glad you took that from my show. That's exactly verbatim what I was hoping people would take.
That was the key takeaway that I got. Yeah. All right, here we go. I like this girl.
Alrighty, this message is for President Trump and his administration. If you stay to watch the video, please tag him down below, share, and repost so we can try to get this to him as quickly as possible and hope that he can do something
fast.
with
It's not sped up.
President Trump, as a supporter who voted for you 3 times, I am hoping and praying that you will revisit what Barack Obama and Joe Biden got rid of back in 2013, which is the Smith-Mundt Act, which held news corporations accountable for lying to the American people and spreading propaganda instead of truth. I think instead of bringing it back as a Smith-Mundt Act, you name it the Charlie Kirk Act, you make it a law, and you make it damn near impossible for these people to continue to lie to the American public, which has brought chaos, hatred, division, and anarchy all across this country. Fines out the ass, which will damn near bankrupt their companies should they lie to the American people ever again.
Is there like a cat playing piano in the background of one of your guys' things?
Sounded like somebody was strumming a guitar.
Is that what that is?
I don't have a guitar, so I'm
Cam,
just
you're
assuming.
muted, I think.
I heard that earlier. Obviously, it's not me because I was muted, but I heard that guitar earlier.
Okay, just think I'm hearing things or something. Okay, go ahead, Ash. Sorry. Oh, shoot.
They need to state that it is their opinion and that it is not a fact. Because of their constant lies, a man lost his life over it. Because of the constant hateful rhetoric of calling him a fascist and a Nazi and a white supremacist and a bigot, the same thing that they've called you, this man is dead. I think this would be a great legacy for him to have a law named after him to force journalists to finally start telling the truth and having the integrity that they have lacked for over a decade. I hope that this gets to you. I hope that you think about it and that you pass it into law. Because we are on a dangerous path right now with the constant lies and the propaganda. And that doesn't end just at news journalists. It needs to go to content creators who consistently spread lies and propaganda and half-truths across the internet. This needs to end. And people need to start being held accountable for baseless claims over absolute abysmal things. It needs to end. So please, if you have it in your heart to have the time to do this, get this in front of Congress, get this passed as a law, and start holding these news corporations, be they right, left, or center, accountable for their behavior. Thank you.
Bravo.
Certainly, I agree with her that the Smith-Mundt Act needs to be put back into play. And I would be 100% in favor of it if they called it the Charlie Kirk Act.
So the Smith-Mundt Act, prior to when it was modernized, restricted the dissemination of U.S. government propaganda to U.S. people.
Yes.
So bringing it back in the way that it was, I'm not sure it was ever, positioned or intended to punish journalists.
No.
I think that's what she's talking about with, you can't spread fake news. I think a lot of those books are on a lot of those laws are on the books already. They're just not enforced, and nobody ever sues for them.
I didn't realize that.
I don't think that I don't think it does what she thinks it would do. I do think that the law that she's talking about is something worth talking about. Fines for misleading the gaslighting and propagandizing the American people. I can definitely get on board with that. But it's not. It's the legal landscape around the Mundt Act. They basically just said we, the U.S. government, can propagandize the people, and
Right.
yeah, they use the media to do that. But that's kind of a second order.
So
Also-
go ahead, John.
You go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, there's obviously a number of different things at play. Certainly, if they make it illegal once again for the media to spread propaganda on behalf of the government, or like an agency like the DNC, then that would be pretty important, I think, in terms of the messaging. But we've approached something similar to punishing the media recently with President Trump suing CBS and ABC for lying. I mean, those were, George Stephanopoulos, obviously, that was a personal thing. CBS News and other organizations, I think, should be in danger of losing their right to broadcast if they're out there just, completely lying to the American people. But if they're telling lies that are specifically designed to incite, as many of the things they've said over the last 10 years have clearly been, and many on behalf of not just government, but also, private entities, then I think that should be explored as something that they could be penalized for, and penalized harshly, because that has had a dramatic effect on the landscape of America.
I've made that point a couple times in the past that we should criminalize these news organizations that make up stories using anonymous sources.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of flack for that. I mean, some agree, but a lot of flack, or the flack that I did get, was all surrounded by, free speech, and protecting whistleblowers and all these things. But we're in a situation right now where this division in this country has been manufactured and created by the lies that the mainstream media tells. But I don't think we can draw the line there, because I think this needs to be extended to Congress and our elected officials. Because how many elected officials go in there and just spew bullshit over and over and over again with no repercussions, nobody holding them accountable in any fashion? I'm totally on board with everything in that video. Repealing the Mundt Act is a must.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I mean, Congress is essentially protected when they lie and obfuscate during the course of their duties, as Adam Schiff did on so many different occasions. I mean, he essentially was afforded protections because he was speaking as a senator. Total bullshit. And I think that ultimately, if Congress had the same mechanisms of enforcement without any sort of free pass, then it would definitely make them think twice about breaking the law. Public corruption has been a major problem for a long time because there was nobody enforcing it.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because who's going to be the one that determines what you're saying is a lie? That's where
I was just going to say the slippery slope there is, who's the arbiter of truth? And, is it the side that's in power that decides everything the other side says is untrue, and they start prosecuting people? It's in theory, something that definitely needs to be addressed. I just don't know how in practice you put it in without falling down that slippery slope.
Do you know what I think would be so we don't reach that point where you have, like, what was it called earlier in the Biden administration? They had, like, the disinformation committee or something, or working group that was going through flagging things for disinformation. Imagine if the Democrats were in power, which they were, and during the COVID stuff, and people were out here trying to tell the truth about COVID, but instead of getting our posts taken down because it was disinformation, they literally just put us in jail for it. That is a slippery slope. What I would love to actually see more than that, I will allow the mainstream media to spew their lies and their bullshit. Just give the rest of us that are trying to speak the truth an equal platform and a level playing field, realistic, like a real one. Because right now we don't have that. So I don't know. That's where I'm at. That's
so
too much for me.
What would give us that even playing field in your eyes?
Like access, like the algorithms not working against us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
So how Twitter. Do we do that? Would there have to be a law put in place where the algorithms can't be manipulated?
I don't know. I don't know why we even need algorithms in the first place. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So, the one thing about this is like, the truth is immutable. Okay. I mean, like the truth is the truth. And a whistleblower comes forward with evidence to show that their claims have merit. All right. So whereas Eric Charamella was called a whistleblower, even though he was totally faking the whole thing. So there's a major disparity there, like two different sides. And I think that if something isn't backed with facts or supporting evidence to show it as truth, then it should be labeled as opinion. And right now, these mainstream media talking heads, they go out and they speak with the authority of truth when they're actually speaking their opinions, and there's no distinction between the two.
Yeah, and to your point, Zach, when you brought up Eric Charamella, it's like they're exploiting these rules that, like, okay, there's whistleblower protection, so let's exploit it and dump a bunch of BS out there and just call him a whistleblower, and everybody's forced to just accept it. So there's got to be some way to sift out that exploitation of the way the system is supposed to work to protect people that are genuinely trying to bring forth a truth by being a whistleblower. I don't know what the answer is to that, because it just seems like anytime you come up with a good idea, the left will find a way to exploit it and turn it into something nefarious.
No, it's not the left.
Well, no,
because it's
right. It could be both sides, right?
This is bureaucrat. This is
bureaucrat, right?
Power,
Uniparty
right?
stuff.
Like you don't give the government anything that we ever consider letting the government do. We should first think about it. What if Barack Obama or Joe Biden had this authority that we're thinking about granting to the government, or name your villain? Because we need to be able to solve our societal disputes and exchange ideas without needing the courts and the government to get involved. But if we keep cranking out new laws, then we have a whole lot more reasons to, and because we gave them that power because we voted in fake elections.
Yeah, remember a time like very recently, like in the past like 3-4 years, for the past 3-4 years, we've been talking about we need to go back to like an original form of the Constitution. We need to revert back to less government, less laws, less all these things. And here we are kind of discussing, like, we need Congress to enact the Charlie Kirk law. I mean, I know it would repeal the Mundt Act, but I don't know if that's the answer for this. Yeah.
In a sense, though, you're just what we're asking for is like reversal of a government action that was wholly unnecessary and really despicable, which was the modernization of the Smith-Mundt. So it is sort of an unwinding of a bureaucratic installation of a law that to basically enable them to exploit the system.
For sure. Yeah, I do understand that. But the government, they'll find a way. They always do. Funding for Ukraine.
Power corrupts.
But that's the root of it, though. The root of the need for the Smith-Mundt Act is that the U.S. government is going to be propagandizing foreign audiences, but we don't want. What happens if they? This is my reenactment of the congressional debate. What happens if it starts? If this information reaches the American public and they believe it? Oh no, we'll make a rule, and in that rule, we won't allow our propaganda to reach American audiences. Okay, like why are we propagandizing foreign populations to begin with as the United States government?
Yeah, why?
I mean, because like that's not diplomacy. Mm-mm. It's not any of the stated official authorities that they have to go out and psyop the people of other nations, and it's done quite a bit of harm. Why are we doing that? It's good for color revolutions, though.
Because that's how we spread our seed of democracy.
That's how we spread democracy. Yeah.
How else would we do it?
So I had a thought earlier today too, and this is in regards to the Charlie Kirk situation. One of the reasons, because I'm like, not everything has come out about Tyler Robinson, right? And there's still a lot to learn, and everything.
Are we sure that was him?
Still in flux. No, we're not. Which is why
conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say one of the points in the corner that I have for it actually for being a legitimate arrest of somebody who, did commit this act, is that they didn't call him Tyler Michael Robinson. Think about every other assassin in history. It's always the first, middle, and last name. And they do that so that it sticks in your head and it is memorable. And the other part of that is anytime that there's been an assassination with a patsy, they've already chosen the person before the assassination takes place, and they're ready to deploy that as soon as the assassination is complete. And then they very quickly round that person up. They spread the information all over the airwaves. They have perhaps a short-lived manhunt, and then they drag him out. And, perhaps he's killed on sight. Perhaps he's killed once he's in custody. But we haven't seen any of that with this kid. He ended up turning himself in. His name is just Tyler Robinson. We don't even know what his middle name.
Didn't his family turn him in?
Well, I mean, his father called the police and let them know that, he believed it was his son. After he saw the pictures, his son came home and he confronted him about it. And then he said, "You've got to turn yourself in." And he said, "I'd rather kill myself." And his dad was like, "No, let's go talk to our pastor," who also just happens to be a U.S. Marshal. That was interesting. And then all together they went in and he turned himself in. But I thought that was particularly notable. And I saw a lot of people, criticizing the FBI because they didn't find him quicker. Yeah. But again, every other time
speak on that,
the assassin has already been chosen. Okay. And it's part of the plot.
Maybe.
Well, that's my opinion on it, looking at assassinations throughout history.
Yeah. Well, I want to comment on the FBI thing here because boy, oh boy, do they deserve some criticism here? Well, number one, the FBI didn't do anything to lead to the capture of this guy that we can have done ourselves. They posted pictures online. People recognized them. They come out and they're like, "I would just like to thank all of our partners here for all the hard work we did these last few days." There was a Babylon Bee headline, I'm pretty sure, that was like, "FBI congratulates itself for after the public turns in criminal," or something. Like, they literally didn't do anything to lead to the capture of this guy other than post the picture online. The other day, the day it happened, there was like, okay, we have one subject in custody. It wasn't the guy. We have a second subject in custody. Everybody's like, okay, we found him, we caught him. And then like a half an hour later, like, oh, the guy was released. It turns out it wasn't him. It came out today that Kash Patel, when he made that post, was at some like one of the most upscale restaurants in New York that you could possibly get into. He was like sitting in a restaurant while he was tweeting these things, and it happened to be wrong information. And if that is confirmed to be true, that's going to be there should be like some hell to pay for that. Like, they should have to answer for that, because that is pretty irresponsible to be doing. In one of the most high profile assassinations of all time, you're at a restaurant tweeting what it turns out to be misinformation about the case. Like that's a.
I thought he tweeted it before the restaurant opened.
Let me find the article.
Did I say he tweeted it at 21? The restaurant opened at 7.
Oftentimes, though, the FBI will put out information publicly to smoke a guy out.
I was going with that.
Yeah.
So they always put out like a picture. That's just standard process. They should use the public to help. If they've got a picture of the guy, put it out there. That's how they caught the Night Stalker. I remember back in the day, you guys before your time, but we had a serial killer here called the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, and they didn't catch him until they put out an actual like police sketch that really like looked like him in the neighborhood. It smoked him out. He basically ran, and a bunch of people in this neighborhood in East LA to beat the shit out of him and called the police, and that's how he was caught. So I think that's kind of standard process. I don't know why they shouldn't use the public to help.
Yeah. So it was 621.
Hold on, did I share my screen?
No.
Hold on.
Brian tried to take my powers out of here away, by the way.
Let's take his powers away.
He's like, I'm going to take your powers away. He's like, I'm going to take your powers away. I said, my powers come from John. You can't take my powers away.
They're indelible rights or whatever it is.
Inalienable.
Yes. That's the word.
No, the rights are indelible.
You know the thing, Zach. You know the thing.
You know the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I agree with what you're saying there, Jay, about like, yeah, that's standard practice for the FBI to do that. I totally get that. But like, you can't deny the fact that they had my point with when it comes to stuff like this is if they crowdsource this stuff immediately, like open source, crowdsource it to everybody, the public would do a better job of tracking down who this person was, like, and way quicker. That's my opinion on it. I think we've proven with stuff like this over the years that the internet sleuths, the autists, you people have talked about the Shia LaBeouf thing that you guys did with the flag a long time ago. Like,
yes, he will not divide us.
Yeah, the internet and people can find out who these people are better than it seems sometimes the intel community. And I wonder if there's a future where that can be more of a thing, because the only reason they caught him, it wasn't because of what they did. It's because they put the picture out based on the information we have. Maybe there's more details.
That is what they did, though, John. They did do that. So, like, how can you not give him credit for putting the picture out, which led to his arrest? I know that, like, they shouldn't take a victory lap per se. It's just their job, but that's how you catch people. That's how they do.
Because when did they post the picture? Did they post it immediately
later? Right?
No,
I don't know. Maybe there was a reason they wanted to make sure that's the guy. Who knows? You know, there's probably reasons for why they did it with the timing they did. I feel like Cash's initial statement of "we have a suspect in custody" was probably a thing to smoke the guy out. You know, make him relax, make him think that, you know, they got the wrong guy and he's gotten away with it. Who knows? I mean, there's probably some strategy to what they do. I just don't think they're bumbling idiots. I really don't. I don't think Cash is that stupid. But that's just me.
Well, I don't even remember. My name is Patel Patriot. That's my hand. I'm a huge fan of Cash Patel. I'm not like trying to shit on him or anything. I'm just, they had nothing to do with, in my opinion. Because Jay, if you were given the responsibility as a chiropractor to track down this person, and all you had was what they had, and you just put the picture online, are you going to take responsibility for the capture of that guy just by posting the picture that you had access to online?
No, I'm not going to do a victory lap, but I am the one that posted the picture, right? I got the picture. Like the FBI found the cameras and the angles and whatever, went through it and figured out that this is probably the guy that did the shooting, and they put it out there, and he's been caught within a couple of days. I think that's, if you look at assassinations over history, I mean, look at like John Wilkes Booth. It took him like a week or two. You know, the guy was on the prowl. He was trying to get to the South, and he almost made it, but eventually they caught him. And I think that, I think it was a reasonable amount of time to catch him. I don't know. I don't have a big problem with what they did.
So, but the example you used was from the 1800s.
I know, 1800s. We do have better technology, but you know, I just think it was a reasonable amount of time. They caught him within 48 hours or something.
33, I think it was.
Yeah.
So it happened at 2:20 p.m. on the 10th. At 11:58 a.m. on the 11th, they released the pictures. They had that press conference in the morning where they showed them off, and then they posted it on Twitter. There was supposed to be a press conference a little bit later in the day. I believe by that point, the father had already called in and said, "I believe it's my son." He called the sheriff's office, his sheriff's office, Washington County, and then they called the FBI, and that's why they postponed the press conference, because they were getting a track on his phone. And I agree that Cash's language was imprecise and regrettable, because he said the subject in the Charlie Kirk assassination. It should have been a subject in the Charlie Kirk assassination. And you know, it was 6:21. You know, so he wasn't at dinner in the restaurant. He's also, you know, in another part of the country dealing with people giving him secondhand information on another side of the country. And I think that this particular situation, the emotions were really high, because, you know, certainly you've got now people in government who were personally acquainted with Charlie Kirk, and, you know, everybody is really, you know, probably trying to do the best job that they can with this, like, you know, multinational, or not multinational, but you know, interstate investigation.
Yeah, I mean, those are the times when you feel emotionally connected to anything. You gotta really be careful not to do things because of that emotional connection. I had another question about it.
I have a question for you, John. I mean, sorry, if you got it in your head, go ahead.
No, I was gonna make a comment. Dang, I lost it again. Oh, if this is the guy, it turns out to be the guy, I hope the evidence they have is just so rock solid that it's undeniable, because I'm already seeing the conspiracy theories floating around everywhere. Like, even to, like, I'm not even sold yet that it's the guy, just because they say it's the guy. They haven't shown us really all the connections. I hope this is as rock solid as possible.
Yeah, and I think to your point, John, also too, I know a couple of days ago, people were pretty convinced that this guy was not acting alone, and maybe he had some state sponsor that Trump alluded to. Where do we stand on that now? Knowing what we know, I think that's all still a possibility. I'm not convinced that this guy was acting alone. He's just some crazy, kid that decided, I don't like what Charlie Kirk's going to say, and I'm going to put an end to it. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here, what other information comes out in that regards.
Certainly.
Yeah. That's a good point. I'm curious. How do you guys feel about rants?
Sounds good.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, also people should hit the thumb because that would be awesome. We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thumbs up would be cool.
And if you don't, if you watch but you don't chat often, just drop into the chat and say what's up. That also helps us out with our metrics, and we want to see your beautiful handles.
Yeah, part of the rev share that we have for all the creators here comes from the creator program on Rumble, which I don't know how they do it. They don't tell us how they do it, but they tell us that we unique chatters. So just coming in, saying hi, hitting that thumb. It's a big help. There are no boosts, but let's check out the rants here. Denise Ann 2, CanCon just posted this. And I'm pretty sure when I looked at this earlier, it was a dead link.
Uh-oh.
Yep. Page does not exist. Sounds like something CanCon would post.
I want to know what he posted.
Rave Daddy 523, the Charlie Kirk Act. Please watch this. P.S. I'm Susan Tupp on X. It's my troll account. LOL. And I think this is
self-docs.
Yeah, I think that's what you just posted, or what we just discussed a little bit ago. VP Nichols, maybe 9/11 didn't all go to their plan. Was the third plane intended for World Trade Center 7?
No,
I thought it was the White House.
I thought Brad's answer at Deadwood when somebody kind of asked him about that was pretty interesting. He said he just thinks that was all for the narrative. The one, I assume they're talking about the one that crashed in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
He said it was just for the feel-good story of like, okay, some Americans brought down a plane, and again, there was no luggage, there were no passengers, so it was probably a drone that they crashed there as well. So I thought that was kind of an interesting take on it. Is it just helped sell the narrative and get people fired up.
Julie J.N., a friend's daughter just had her business canceled at a store for posting positively about Kirk. It's happening both ways. Also, teachers should not bring it to the classrooms. Military should not be. Yeah, I totally agree with the military, and should not be able to say shit in their uniforms or social media. My military son was not able to wear a Let's Go Brandon shirt, but people wore BLM gear. Totally agree with that. Public service, military, anybody getting funded by U.S. government dollars, totally fire them.
Yep, absolutely.
I have no sympathy for these people getting fired. I do not like these people that are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I just know it's part of a psyop, and we're doing exactly what they want us to be doing by participating in it, which is why I'm choosing not to. But you guys do you. Ekim Navilis, cam sectors talk to each other to coordinate movements, even when not in their airspace. They may have wanted to keep one controller on this plane if it was one that may have been squawking 7,500.
Yeah, I responded in the chat. That's a really good point. And I didn't even factor in the fact that
can you explain it to us?
What do you mean? It's pretty self-explanatory.
No, it's not.
Sectors, different sections talk to each other
So
to coordinate movements.
I think this was what was this in response to the
planes.
Yeah, I got that part. The DC air traffic control saying, why would Boston be talking about our airspace? That's not our airspace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
saying,
I mean,
what they're saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, the reason that was notable is because it was the DC air traffic control that was like, what the fuck? Like, what are these guys doing? I would think if they had an overlapping, had overlap in the sectors, that they would be talking to each other. No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they would be confused by it if it was a natural occurrence, but I did not factor that in. What Ekim Navilis said when I said it earlier about the two ATCs talking to each other.
Yeah. And it wasn't Boston telling Washington D.C. airspace. It was Boston, like calling the White House or calling the whatever the central ATC hub command name is there. I can't remember it at this time, but it was them calling them to relay the message. So it wasn't like overlapping airspace, two ATCs talking to each other. They were going through a middleman. The whole thing was weird.
That is weird.
Let's see here. Mateo 127. Can Patriots get out of jail free for beating some ass for burning my flag that soldiers fought for? Then yes, say post what you may. VP Nichols, I had exactly that in my team at work in New Zealand. A colleague said, if the unvaccinated are walking around killing us all, then why can't we go out and kill them?
Yep, that was the attitude.
Dusty Sky, brown shirt or not, if they work for the government in any way, then turn them in. Otherwise, it's generally protected, First Amendment protected. However, it shows the degree of moral degradation in America. Good point.
I agree.
It's also worth noting from Dusty Sky, no cities are burning or government building destroyed today. They are gathered and praying.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Reaction is completely different to what we've seen when, police incidents have taken place, or the Summer of Love with George Floyd. And I'm very heartened to see it. And also, just to piggyback on that, there has never been a response of gleeful celebration when these people have lost their lives on behalf of the right. Minnesota was a perfect example. You had Democrat lawmakers that were shot in their homes, 2 of them killed. Another 2 significantly wounded. Their disabled adult daughter was a victim as well. And not a single person was like, all right, we took a couple of Dems off the board. Good job, Vance Belter.
Yeah.
Nope.
Great point.
Great point. Suspense 21 says, thank you all for sharing honest truth and peace. This has been a very difficult week. People in the chat are grateful for the community. God bless you all and your families. I appreciate you all. We really do have a great community here at Badlands, and if you aren't part of a local group, I encourage you to find one, because it's basically just taking that chat community, the friends you have there, and doing it in real life. Badlandsmedia.tv/events. Scroll down, click find your local group, and get to one of those meetups. They're amazing. NGK, can one of you grab the video I put on X on this stream and look at it? I think the Charlie Kirk Act needs to happen.
It's probably the one we watched.
Yep. It is. CSU BGO Chem 1, thankful for Badlands. God bless you all.
It's nice to see him out at the movie last night. He was there.
Oh, he was there?
Mm-hmm.
Did he bring his liberal girlfriend with?
I know. I think he was alone.
Oh.
Brave man.
Brave man. No, good to see you, man. Hopeful Theorist, somber episodes lately, but I appreciate the authenticity. Badlands is the best. Thanks for coming to see us in Minnesota, John. It was fun to finally meet you. It's fun to meet you as well. A lot of good people there. A lot of good people in Badlands in general. NGK, and ignore my post then. The one you are about to play is what I wanted to see your reaction. Then NGK again. How we punish for lies under the Charlie Kirk Act is if they can't back up their statement with absolute fact instead of just spewing lies, then they have to be held accountable and fired. How do we prove that?
Yeah, that's the tough part.
Yeah. Mateo 127. On a lighter note, Nancy Pelosi is still the Hobey grandmother that her nephews still don't want to bring their friends around for birthday parties. Badlands Media is still my sanity sanctuary.
Thank you, Mateo.
Thank you for pointing that out, Mateo. That is something we should never forget.
Secrets. I haven't seen you in a while. John Outro, Tom McDonald song Charlie.
I put it in the chat. I put it in the chat.
I'm down if you guys
I haven't seen it yet.
Sure.
Let's watch it together.
2.5 minutes.
Okay. NGK, no, we have them power by falling for their fear propaganda. 9/11, we got the Patriot Act, which is where we are today.
Yeah.
Mighty Brush 68. I attended Gart Plymouth. John helped me take my painting out of my truck and display it in the lobby.
Oh,
that's you. Awesome, man. That
that
painting was
painting was
amazing.
gorgeous.
Such a great painting.
Badlands brings the best journalism to those who are awake and want to learn. Yeah, your art is fantastic, man.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think we had the other one, Ash, because that was a conference we fundraised for your legal fund with the, I'm pretty sure, and he had that other. Oh, she's dropped out.
She just laughed right when he said that.
Too soon apparently. But yeah, we auctioned off one of her, or raffled off one of his paintings for her.
That's awesome.
Babbage 3. What do the standings look like after week 1 of the GFFL?
Well, I can say Cam beat a bunch of fags and retards last week.
That did happen. And the only reason I know they're fags and retards is because they sat 3 players that got almost 20 points each.
Actually, if I had started them, I would have been victorious. So
yeah, and I beat you by like 20 points too, which is the sad part.
You know what? I don't even know
It's
what
bad
this...
GMing, man. It's terrible GM. I'm gonna fire the GM. Gotta hire somebody.
Right now, Brad is in first place.
He whooped ass this week.
Yep. I'm in second place.
Nice.
Cam is in third. Ghost is in fourth. Alpha's in fifth. And Chris is in sixth. And so those are all the people that won week one, and then everybody else lost week one.
Yeah, but I'm not last, right?
No, so it goes last place is Rattler Gator, and his team was auto drafted, remember?
Yeah. He had a suspended player playing, and he still almost beat Alpha until Dalton Kincaid went off.
Yeah. And then it's Bernie Bright, because he's in second to last, because he was the second lowest scoring. He barely outscored the guy who played the suspended player. So funny. And then it's Ash.
Yeah.
And then it's J-Tret. And then CanCon. And then Jordan. So
I only lost to Chris by like 0.36 points last week.
Yeah.
Good God, that's super.
It was very close. It was a barn burner of a game, and none of you guys paid attention to it.
Oh, I paid attention to it.
Solid. Yeah, you did. That's true.
So I found what Denise was trying to send us earlier. It was a tweet from Matt DePerno that CanCon had shared. He might have like retweeted it and said something, but I found the original if we want to get to that.
I mean, how long is that?
38 seconds. Matt DePerno went to a Office Depot in Portage, Michigan. Yeah, and he attempted to have a Charlie Kirk vigil poster printed, and they refused because they said it was propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, that about sums it up. Pretty stupid.
So,
so that's when you boycott. You don't spend your dollars there, places like that.
Well, Office Depot responded and said that at least one of the people were fired because DePerno called the, I guess, customer service number. I think that, calling to complain about being treated with disrespect like that is totally appropriate.
Yeah. Where am I at here? Average 3. Cynthia 67. Repeal speech and debate protections from Congress. I'd be down with that.
Yep.
417 Patriot says, just tuning in. Can't wait to see y'all at Guard again. Just got our tickets. Awesome. Nice. Deadwood was so awesome. We had to make it to Cocoa Beach. The past few days have been super heavy. So thankful for all of you.
Yeah. Thankful for you too.
Can't wait to see you again. And then another comment here. Also, haven't had a chance to tell Jay how fabulous it was meeting him. And thanks for being our liaison and taking us to talk to everyone. Hope to see you again in Florida. Claire and Ryan.
Oh, yeah. Claire
it was
and
great
Ryan,
to meet you, Claire and Ryan.
It was
awesome.
great meeting you guys. So fun hanging out with you, and I hope to see you at the next one if I can make it.
Yeah. Keith O'Higgins says, if Ryan Routh wins his case, will Tyler Robinson add him to his legal team?
Oh my God.
That's not likely to happen. Did you see his opening, or did you read his opening remarks?
No.
He was chastised by Eileen Cannon because she was like, Mr. Routh, you have to actually talk about things that are relevant to your case. And she gave him another opportunity to continue speaking, and she was like, you're done. Sit down.
Is he representing himself?
He is representing himself, yes.
Wow.
And he was able to question the Secret Service agent that caught him in the bushes. And one of his questions was, is it good to be alive? And he was like, well, I guess so. And yeah, he was really creepy.
Yeah, I haven't been following that.
Yeah.
Anyway, how do you say that? Apocryphal world records.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Very good, John. Very nice.
Apocryphal world records, because Ash always wrecks the chat in a great way. There you go.
And by the way, John, you did receive a little criticism for calling it Yucca Valley. It was Yucca Valley, but I said that's not really John's fault. You could go either way.
Yeah.
If you're not from around here, you wouldn't know that.
Makes sense.
So I defended you, dude. I defended you.
I appreciate that. It's not like unknown that I'm not great with words.
Yeah. Well, okay. I pointed that out as well. I said, I know it's a, kind of a known thing that John tends to mispronounce things, but don't hold it against him.
Because I've been so sheltered my whole life.
What's it actually called? Yucca, right?
Yucca Valley. Yep.
Is that the same? Is it the same word? Isn't there a? Oh, never mind.
Yucca root.
Yeah,
there's
the root. Yeah.
Yep. There's a yucca tree too. That's like a kind of a weird palm tree looking thing.
Mighty Brush says, oh yeah, we got the new link. So thank you, Denise. And Mighty Brush 68. I pray for all you. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you. Denise, again, never mind. It looks like he took it down. It was Office Depot responding to employees refusing to make a poster vigil for Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I
Sherry
wondered
Lynn?
if that was real. Did you guys see that video of the two people that said they weren't going to make the posters because it was propaganda?
That's what we just talked about a second ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I think you might. I think she might have been out of the room at that
She
moment.
just popped out.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's totally real. Those are definitely some people working at Office Depot, and I think Matt DePerno. I mean, I feel like Matt DePerno has no reason to lie about that. I mean,
Oh, it was Matt
seems-
DePerno that broke
yeah, it
that
was-
story?
Yeah, I mean, it happened to him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They should
Pilot-
be fired.
Or Cherry 11 just says at Cherry 11. Thank you.
Self-promotion. I like it.
Pilot Bryce, briefly recap and restate the question you guys have about the ATC issue in the Northeast. I've operated in that airspace for 15 years, but I'm not a controller. I don't even. Cam, this is you.
I responded to him in the chat. It's kind of hard to do quickly because it gets into different moments with on 9/11 and how this one flight comes into play. But the basic summary is that Boston air traffic control was talking about a plane that was allegedly another hijacked plane, and the plane calls in and reports, and they have, like confirmation that it's not a hijacked plane, that it is responding. And then throughout the rest of the day, that plane number keeps being brought up as a possible hijack at moments when they're like trying to figure out where, Flight 93 is going and what's happening to the Pentagon, when it's like key moments, this I think it's like Delta 1989 or something like that comes up repeatedly. And it seems like they're seeding disinformation to it. Another thing that was weird about watching those tapes or listening to those audio tapes was that when they had fighters in the air at the time that the Pentagon was hit, and the fighter requests permission to go look after he's, being called back to whatever base. But he says, can I do a flyby and go look? And he gets approval to do it from whoever he's talking to at that point. I think it was mostly military to military type stuff. But he's immediately called back and told he can't go look.
Wow. Interesting.
Shady.
Denise Ann again with another link for the Office Depot thing. Black Hat Destroyer, there's a lot I would like to say on the subject of avoiding the second Civil War, but I don't have enough patience to explain in detail on chat, but we need to avoid getting into an all-out Civil War, part 1. A lot of parts here, so I'm just going to read all through these, and then I'll come back to make sense to me, too. And here's why. Since February 2021, 1 month after it was apparent that Trump was really walking away from public scene, I came to believe that an all-out Civil War was soon to erupt. However, I believe that I felt God impressing on me that it would be devastating to occur because it would inspire a third Civil War that would finish off the country for good. Although we who stand for freedom and God endowed rights would win the second Civil War, it would set us up in destroying ourselves due to an unquenched bloodthirst to be right in our own eyes.
Bloodlust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. What did I say?
You said bloodthirst, but it was petty. But I mean,
in piling on with the John can't pronounce things,
right?
That
really hits home. Black Hat Destroyer.
That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's good.
Makes sense to me too. Says my take on the video Zach played of this girl was a second spark by the left, not us. Yeah, and then Zach was talking about a false flag.
Yeah. So, I mean, just historically, there is a second spark. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to come from us.
Cam, this one I'm not allowed to read, but you are. If
you
like.
can read it, but I'll read it. $1 Grease Monkey 58. Is it true that JB White is Nick Quirr faggot? Confused.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, I don't even know what that word means, so I'm not even gonna try. I'm not labeling anybody these days.
Terry 11, hi. I'm so sorry I missed the Yucca Valley screening last night. We do have some conservative awake people here in the Joshua Tree area, but many asleep.
Well, you must have been asleep, Cherry. Where were you? Come on.
Jay called her out.
I'm new at posting. Dang, I wanted to go to the movie in Yucca Valley last night, but didn't know where and when it was. Love you all. There are some awake people in the Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree area.
So, Cherry, I'm going to say that probably it's because you didn't know John was talking about Yucca Valley because he kept mispronouncing it every time he announced it. But we've been promoting it for weeks, so
it's on the website.
You're not.
She was looking at the wrong spot on the map. She's like, I know where Yucca Valley is. I just don't know where Yucca Valley is.
Yucca, where is this place?
She's looking for Yooka.
In all seriousness, Cherry, come to one of our SoCal Badlanders meetups to make up for it. Okay, so check us out on Telegram.
Yep. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/events. Click find your local group. They'll put you in touch with people in your area, and you'll never miss a Yucca Valley theater showing again.
Exactly. Or Yucca.
Or Yucca. Or Yucky. Denise Antu, God bless all of you. Thank you all for speaking truth and giving glory to God. Thank you, Denise, for the rant.
You, Denise.
NGK, didn't Obama help write the movie Civil War?
He was,
I think he produced.
Producer.
Yeah. His company was production on that.
He's probably just a name.
I don't know. No, it wasn't Civil War. It was
it was the Netflix show.
Yeah, well, I thought it was Civil War too. I thought he did both of those films. The other one, what was that other one with the?
It was like not D-Day. It was like
with Julia Roberts.
Something left behind. No,
leave the world behind.
Leave the world behind. No, you're right.
Leave the world behind. Yeah.
But again, it is a film production company, so it makes sense that there would be multiple films that would be under their banner.
Yeah, actually, real quick, I told you guys this before, but when I was working at some celebrity's house for an event, they had it was like second in command at Netflix, and they were like really good. They were talking about how close they were with the Obamas and stuff. So like, that's more of like, I don't think it's as much business as it is just like rubbing each other's backs type thing. You know what I mean? Obviously it's business, but like they're in cahoots is what I'm trying to say.
They've done, looking for more movies. I thought there was.
Leave the World Behind is probably worth a rewatch at this point.
Yeah. I enjoyed it actually.
I haven't seen that. It was like 8 or 9 psyops ago that I saw that.
Civil War. I watched that as well.
That movie sucked.
What kind of American?
It could have been so much better. Definitely.
Yeah, we should produce our own Civil War movie.
We should.
God, that would be sweet.
Where instead of actually like getting into Civil War, we just call and get everybody fired from the day job.
Oh man,
we could probably make a movie about Matt Ehret's travel experiences. That would be a good movie.
The final demand says, I don't think we are going to get a celebration day that the we won day. Humanity has been the best and the worst after Kirk's death more than any other moment in my 49 years. We are headed for bittersweet.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Good rant. And that's all of them, guys. So let me pull up that link.
You see Chris Cuomo, I think he was talking to Benny Johnson. Did you guys see that clip where he was basically saying mistakes were made on all sides, and you know, you guys' rhetoric is what led to this violence? Shut up, or we're gonna shoot you more.
Right.
So stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a show tomorrow, guys. 7:30. Flow. See you there.
6 o'clock Eastern. Audio files. We'll have some a good healthy way to take out your aggression tomorrow.
Love it.
I love the audio show, but Cam's show, you can call and heckle him. If folks don't know that, it's a good outlet for your Saturday if you need it.
Honestly, guys, tomorrow is the day that I think everyone's gonna need to talk shit to me. So just call in. It's okay.
Dude, I'm gonna call in, man.
Do it, man. We'll have a good laugh.
Shit about you beating my ass last week in football.
We'll have a good laugh, guys. We need it right now.
Power hour tomorrow night. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hit the thumbs up, and we'll close it out with this. It's Tom McDonald. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.
Night.
Shot down and he was barely 31. Another woke coward took a life with a gun. He left behind a wife and a daughter and a son. All he did was try to speak for all of us. And I'm so tired of the hatred and the narratives. The patriots ain't dangerous. Woke people are the terrorists. They shot and killed the father, sent a message to Americans. They ain't gonna stop until they bury us. Dear Charlie, I don't know if you can see us now, but if heaven has a window, I sure hope you're looking down. Cause we ain't going quiet, we gon' scream your name loud. And you're gone, but I swear to God that we gon' make you proud. We ain't backing off or giving up, I'll preach what you taught me. They may have killed a soldier, but that man had an army. This is far more deep than some political parties. And you can't kill freedom, so this one is for Charlie. This ain't the America that all our parents love, but good men try to keep making it great. Pray that God will take care of us, the system is failing us, when good men die for the things that they say. And I can't just be quiet, so I gotta be brave, cause this is America. Lately it's scaring us, but one good man can change it all in a day. Killed in cold blood for having a discussion, and liberals are celebrating murder like it's justice. You didn't kill a villain or the evil that it comes with. You killed a father and a husband. And I'm so tired of the left and all the wokery. We can't get along if you just kill us when we don't agree. Sniper rifle fire from a liberal that no one sees. Scared I might be next to die when I'm just buying groceries. Charlie, we'll make sure your children know that defending all our freedom is why you aren't coming home. I hope heaven has a window you can watch your children grow and hear your message echo from below. And we ain't backing off or giving up, I'll preach what you taught me. They may have killed a soldier, but that man had an army. This is far more deep than some political parties, and you can't kill freedom, so this one is for Charlie. This ain't the America that all our parents love, but good men try to keep making it great. Pray that God will take care of us, the system is failing us, when good men die for the things that they say. And I can't just be quiet, so I gotta be brave, cause this is America. Lately it's scaring us, but one good man can change it all in a day.